All right, Beyond the Gates fans, season 1, episode 86, 1-800 choke that hoe gets a 10 out of 10. Man, oh man. So, um, we go over to the diner and we see the unholy alliance where Leslie joins Haley at a table. And she goes on about the situation about being harassed by Kitty Cat and Jacob. So, Haley is confused by all this. And from there, she mentions how her daughter comes to visit occasionally. But from there, Haley tries to leave, but Leslie thinks they have something in common. So mind you, Haley's there to have breakfast. You know, she just minding her business. And you got crazy Leslie popping up at her table, just blabbering on about nothing. So they find common ground because Leslie mentions how, look, me and you, we're both outcasts. We're both pariahs. But Haley acts all innocent like that's not the case at all. And look, I got Bill and I have our baby and that's all I need. And then Leslie's excited, but the thing is, she mentions how it was a shotgun wedding, but Haley kind of, sets it straight like, whoa, what? Slowly roll now. But Leslie's like, look, don't be a sucker. Men always hurt women. And Haley believes she'll get what she deserves and asks what Leslie wants. But Leslie wants to belong, which is common ground because of the fact that we know how much of an outcast Haley has felt since she's, moved back with Bill to the gated community. And Leslie's like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Haley admits that, you know what, I loved the Duprees, but then I just fell for Bill. And then that's when Leslie reminds her that, look, hey, you destroyed, actually, it's crazy because it really does seem that Leslie sees a lot of herself in Haley. And when you really think about these two characters side by side, it makes sense. Both were involved with married men who married inside the Dupree family. But say what you will about what Leslie did, like at the anniversary party, but you got to admit, it was some cold work because of the fact that you destroyed Bill and Danny. Look, their marriage was not perfect, but Haley was orchestrator in the destruction of Bill's marriage to Danny the same way Leslie was to Ted and Nicole. But the thing was, while Leslie disrupted the marriage of Ted and Nicole at the country club that the Duprees basically owned, Haley took it a step further by not only moving back into the community that the Duprees basically run, but also by getting married at the country club that the Duprees own. So essentially, she compared Haley to Miley Cyrus by describing her as a wrecking ball. Haley is pissed off and leaves, and Leslie sits down and finishes her breakfast, which I found pretty crazy. How do you have a scene like this? And it makes me feel like, yeah, these two are going to link up again in the future. Now, that's when Nicole shows up and Leslie invites her to sit down, but that leads to, an interesting conversation. Nicole mentions how Laura's back at work, and Leslie says that, I don't know about Laura. And that's when it's like, yeah, you act like that, but I'm pretty sure you tried to murder her. So it's crazy how maybe you don't know her because maybe you tried to murder so many people that someone like Laura just slipped your mind. That's when Leslie acts all confused. And that's when she confesses, like, I don't get your obsession, girl. There's something wrong with you. Seriously wrong with you. And Nicole says there's evidence, but Leslie pretty much pulled up, it wasn't me. Shaggy. So from there, she's just eating the toast that Haley left. And this toast is off the chain. So the thing is, Nicole goes into details about the glove, the jacket, and the helmet. But yet again, Leslie tells Nicole what she's been telling Kitty Cat about being circumstantial evidence. It means nothing. But from there, she also mentions the fact, like, you used your daughter to get access to my home to get some DNA for that paternity test. And that's when Leslie chuckles even more. And it's like, it's always funny because guess what? I always knew that Ted was her baby daddy. Like, I don't know why you're acting so bent out of shape. And guess what? I have DNA all over the back of a blue dress in my closet. So that's when Nicole calls her out for being disgusting, and Leslie thinks that, she's a prude, but she goes so far as to say, no wonder Ted needed to escape from you. And she feels like, and I gotta admit, there are some low blows here. She goes so far as to mention that while you were at home having those miscarriages, Teddy Bear and I were humping like bunny rabbits. So that's when Nicole gets up to leave. And that's when Nicole just claps back at Leslie that, oh, you forgot your birth. You forgot your birth control several times, and from there you probably poked holes in your condoms thinking Ted would come to you. But she even goes so far as to slut shame her, and then Leslie's clap back is how many times they had hot times together. So it's like, that was just crazy to mock the miscarriages and mention how often her and Ted were going at it. So things were certainly, heating up in the diner. But that's when we switch over real quick to Ted's office. And Eva arrives, and Ted is a bit upset. So from there, we get a situation where we learn, unfortunately, Eva messed up because their accreditation lapsed, and you were supposed to schedule an inspection days ago. Now they got to pay a fine and go through the process of reapplying. So she's confused because it's like, well, your lack of understanding of the system will take time and money to correct. And the thing is, she has a moment of reflection where it's like, Kat told her that they had their inspection and to ignore it. And Ted's surprised that Kat missed it. And Eva apologized and offers to pay for it. And he refuses that. But they'll get to the bottom of how to slip through the cracks. And that's when Kat comes up and Eva leaves the room. And Ted questions Kat about the accreditation. And Kat lies and says that I told Eva how critical the accreditation was. So that's when Eva listens and she's pissed off. So that's when Kat offers to watch over things and claims that Eva might not be smart enough for any of this. And then that's when Ted asks if, look, did you really mean what you just said, or did you try to confuse her and then on purpose? And Kat's like, no, I didn't. As much as I loathe her, I wouldn't do anything that would harm you or your business, father. And then that's when Kat, is trying to play innocent, and Eva's pissed off on the other side of the door. So the thing is, that's when Kat tells Ted to be hard on Eva, but it's like, nah, it's like, I'm out to get coffee with Nicole, okay? So Kat can't help but be like, team mom in this situation. But that's when Eva opts to hide behind a potted plant as Ted leaves and then runs back in to confront Kat. But the thing is, her hiding, this reminds me of what wasn't it the episode where Kat had the hidden cameras in Nicole's office and then caught Eva and then rushed from uptown with her parents because her battery died or something? And then when they got home, Kat rushed to the office and Eva heard him open the door. So she ran around the corner of the fireplace and hid behind one of the plants. So I love how this, to me, was a callback to that. So she's like, oh, so you're proud of yourself? And she confronts her about lying about the accreditation. And then Kat's like, oh, you're Delulu. I don't know what you're talking about here. And Eva's like, look, I would never hurt your dad, our dad. And the thing is, I won't fall for your petty antics. So you may pay her back for what you think you do. Wait, hang on. So you might get payback for what you deserve. So she exits after smirking. And the thing is, Kat tells her how Eva helped your mom sneak into Laura's room and poison her at the hospital. And Eva doesn't really retaliate and is thinking to, tattle on her to their dad. But Kat's like, oh, you won't. So you already had your chance. And the thing is, if you did, it'll just make you look as desperate as your mom. So from there, I look at it as a situation where I don't like what Kat did because of the fact that it's one thing to get vengeance on your half sister and Leslie, but another when you're screwing over your dad's business, because the accreditation is an important thing, not just for the sake of your dad or Carlton, but the business as a whole, as well as the patients that they help. Because don't get me wrong, I'm still not Team Eva. She's done a lot of stuff and she's lied and whatnot. But then also, let's look at Ted for a second here. You put your daughter in a position that she was in no way, shape, or form equipped to handle. Like, you literally threw her into the deep end of the pool. Sure, you had Kat helping, but it's like Ted is oblivious to the tension between his daughters, to the point of, you honestly don't expect there to be some foul play here. Like, you're not going to supervise like a couple of sit downs between Eva and Kat to make sure Kat is giving Eva the right information. So it's crazy to me that Eva would play the victim. Well, then again, this is Leslie's daughter, so she would play the victim card, even though she's wronged people plenty of times. So it's just one of those situations where I can see people being upset at Kat, and I am somewhat. But then again, you look at it from the other perspective. Eva helped her mom expose Ted's affair. And by extension, that hurt innocent people, such as Laura, Nicole, and just embarrassing her. And she's been nothing but kind to Eva this entire time. So you could look at it, well, Jeremy, look at it this way. Kat lied to Eva, and by extension, that hurt their dad. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Kat was wrong about this? I don't know. I just don't like when people do petty stuff that impacts other people. Like, hey, if you want to do something petty to get back at somebody else, whatever. But don't let it impact other people as well. That's all I'm saying. So from there, we go over to the hospital, and while Ashley and Shanice are working together, Ashley is low-key being disrespectful, and to the point where I'm like, Ashley, let's not forget Shanice is your superior. And I'm just thinking, like, this tension is petty, and Shanice told your ass like 50-something episodes ago, once you're done with the firemen, send him in our direction. That way I can heal his heart. So Ashley lies about, the tension, saying like, oh, I forgot about all that happened. So Shanice calls the dinner a thank you, not a date. And she reminds Ashley, like, let's not forget, you're the one that replaced your firefighter with Andre. So I don't like your bad attitude. And after a heated back and forth, Ashley tells her to shut up. And I'm just thinking, like, what the? So that's when Derek comes in, and Shanice shows him how to do some back stretches for his lower back. So they joke about him being old, and they're flirting. And then Ashley is rolling her eyes and everything. And that's when Haley pops up and asks how things are going with her and Derek and what Shanice is doing with him. And then Ashley's like, why are you here? Oh, well, there's a follow-up. And that's when Ashley thinks back to the doctor about the ultrasound. And then she pulls a Batman and does like a bat glare, saying like, So from there, she can't stop staring at Shanice with Derek and talks about the amazing day she and Andre had delivering a baby in the elevator. And then that's when Shanice is finished up with the firefighter. And when he and Haley leave, Ashley snarks about how good it is to see a psychotherapist enjoying her work. So from there, Danny asks Pam about how things are going with Andre. Well, actually, no. Danny asks Pam how things are going, and Pam is like, there's not, because their modeling agency is kind of, floating without an oar. They need to get some models, or at least ones that are better quality, because right now we've got no buzz, we got no traction, we need to do something. And then Pam is like, wait a minute, why don't you model? Danny's like, no. And then Pam is like, look, why don't you do it? Because of the fact that, I don't know. Danny doesn't want to be a mom in ads, essentially, like the mom jeans and things like that. So in the midst of their discussion, Andre busts into the house like he owns the place, and then asks like, what the hell is Danny thinking? That's when Pam's like, let me get up out of here. And Andre calls her, bitter and having embarrassing behavior by how she conducted herself. So from there, she tells Andre about how I was just reminding you about you wasting time with a little girl when you could be letting a real woman rock your world. So, she gets closer to him, and she can tell that he's getting aroused and kisses her. And then they start making out, and they go to the bedroom for some fun, because basically she insinuated in the last episode that she knows Andre is going to pop up at the house, because she knows, she knows about a man. Now we go over to the diner again, and Leslie tells Nicole that Kat walked in on her and Ted in his hotel room, alluding to the fact that they did some more than what they did. Because remember, that's when Leslie was trying to hug or put her hand on Ted, but he caught her wrist. Like, no, Kat walked in, and that's when Leslie acted like she was feeling up on him, but that wasn't the case whatsoever. But she just goes in on Kat, and then Nicole is like, oh, hell no. So by the time Ted comes into the diner, because remember, he was supposed to get coffee with Nicole has her hands around Leslie's neck and is choking that heifer. And then that's when Ted grabs Nicole, and Leslie screams that she was going to kill me. And then he's like, no, here, have some water. And then Nicole is pissed off that he's helping Dana. So she snaps at him about being in the hotel room alone with her and takes off. And then Leslie tries to get a ride from Ted home. And props and, condolences to the poor man in the booth that Leslie fell on, because, he's just there in a booth having breakfast or whatever with a buddy of his, and the next thing you know, he got this woman just falling all over him. So what a crazy ass into the episode, folks. This was some wild stuff. So Nicole, all I'm saying is Leslie was mouthing off about Kat, and she almost got strangled. And we know how Nicole treats her staff like family. If she gets full confirmation that Leslie was the one who ran Laura off the road and tried to give her that heart infection and whatnot, she'll probably kill Leslie, because Laura is like a second daughter to her. And I feel like this Nicole, holy shit, this was some wild work. And then Ted, oh man, that was some messed up stuff. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Ted freaked up the moment he tried to help Dana. That was just, oh man, that was some wild work. So like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the Friday episode review.